But am I a football player or am I Manning?
Before the fitness empire, before the massive lifestyle brand, before training NBA players, there was Manning Sumner, a kid in a hospital bed who was told he would never play football again.
Really what happens to most people is in the difficult times, they choose to quit and stop instead of just pushing through.
Manning turned that moment into his mission. Prove them wrong, never quit, and help others find faith and purpose in their pain.
So you have to find purpose in your pain. You have to figure out, why is this happening? And what can I learn from it? How can I use it? You have to think about, what else can I do? For me, it was football was taken away.
A stunt gig in a movie brought him to Miami. Training celebrities and rock stars taught him to dream big and to later create one of the most upscale and prestigious fitness chains in the US.
You've been at it a lot longer than me, but I'm just thinking that going from the romantic version of entrepreneurship to the reality of it must be super hard. I mean, a few months into being a full-time entrepreneur.
There is always a solution. I don't like it when people complain and all they talk about is the problems. I like people around me that are solution oriented.
From broken bones to building an empire, this is how faith, discipline, and relentless action can change everything. Today, a reminder that success is not about muscles, it's about mindset. Because the strongest thing you can build is the person who never quits.
So Manning, before the gyms, before training NBA players, before the big brands, there was a kid in a hospital bed that was told that he would never be able to play football again. How did that feel when you had such a big dream? And how's that kid different, now that you're an adult? What's the difference between that kid at that time and who you are now?
I mean, believe it or not, I think that kid is who I am, because when I was told I can't, I immediately said I could. So something about me that I've always been is like, if you tell me I can't do something, then I'm going to show you that I can. So when the doctors were like, you'll never walk again, you'll never play football again, I was like, no, I don't accept that. So it was really just a denial. I mean, luckily that it was the right denial, but I believe that the perseverance and the faith that I had, that I'm not going to listen to a human being telling me what I can't do. I'm going to have faith in God. I'm going to know that I can come back from this and then use that to catapult a career. And then it happened again and I had to bring that back. So it's really just, it's having faith and knowing that it's not written, that's not written. It's not the truth. So that's really, I feel like the kid then is the lesser version of me now. I'm the more the 2.0 version, obviously, or 48.0 version. But yeah, so I would say that's really what. I mean, I can honestly that's what I said.
So what would you tell someone who's maybe in his 20s or even a teenager that suddenly gets like this dream like ripped from them overnight?
Yep. I think that you have to understand that nothing is permanent, other than life and death, right? So if you're not dead, then there's some reason. I believe everything that happens to us is for a reason. So you have to find purpose in your pain. You have to figure out, why is this happening? And what can I learn from it? How can I use it? You have to not panic, but pivot. You have to think about, okay, what else can I do? Like for me, it was football was taken away. But am I a football player or am I Manning? So right then and there, I knew that because football was taken away from me didn't mean that my life was taken away from me. So it was really just finding my purpose in what happened to me.
So suddenly you pivot from being an athlete to being a coach, helping people, training people, etc. How did that come about?
So when I broke my back in high school, then I ended up rehabbing myself back, ended up going to college at Auburn University playing football. Then I broke it again playing football. And then I kind of had a choice. It was like either give up football take a medical hardship or keep trying to play with this pain that was unbearable. So I, took the medical hardship, and then right at that moment, I was like, all right, I'm going to go so deep into kinesiology, anatomy, exercise science, all of these things that I knew I could learn from why it happened. So when you have an injury that was basically caused by working out the wrong way, hitting the wrong way, doing these things that was just compounding, because a stress fracture is the constant pounding of the body. And so I wanted to learn of how do I learn from this to help other people not have to go through what I went through.
Now, if somebody has the dream of being an athlete, for example, and they're trying to learn from what happened to you, would you have done it any differently in terms of when you were a football player? I mean, would you have done it?
100%. I mean, that's what I learned from is that I think back then, the notion back then was bigger and stronger. Everything was how big could you be and how strong you could be. And now we've, with science and research and a lot more education, we've learned that it's more about mobility, power, speed. Like it's a combination, to truly be able to play at your best and to be your physical best it's more than just being big and strong. There's a lot more to it. And so, yeah, I would definitely, if I could go back and reframe the programming that was done to me in high school and college, I definitely would.
Do you think, colleges, universities, even professional leagues are treating and taking care of athletes better than when you were an athlete?
I think almost too better. Too better, is that a word? Now I feel like they're coddling some of these guys in certain ways, But yeah, I mean, we know more. There's more research, there's more studies, there's more things that we know now. So they're definitely applying that. But then there's lots of science now, lots of tools, that we didn't have back then, where this, whether it be AI or machines or all this stuff. So I think, yes, their strength coaches have a lot more education now to be able to apply to the athletes. But I do think that just grit and hard work that we're used to is sometimes it's missing.
So I'm wondering how, I mean, you get it, you are suffering from this injury, and then you become somebody who starts looking into better training for everybody. You become a coach. How does that put you in, opening a cul-de-sac gym in Miami when this whole thing happened in Alabama? Starting something on your own can feel very overwhelming, especially if you're not sure where to begin. You have the drive, the dream, but no roadmap. That's exactly why Univista Franchise exists. It's not just a proven business. It's a system that already helps hundreds of people start successful insurance agencies across the country. With over 260 locations, Univista gives you a turnkey model. That means the brand, the training, the support, the technology, it's already built. So you just bring your ambition. You don't need to be an insurance expert. You don't even need prior experience. They'll guide you every step of the way, from launch to long-term growth. Many franchisees have even grown into having multiple offices, and the startup costs lower than you'd expect for something this solid. I've known Univista's president, Ivan Herrera, for years, and I've seen lives change through this model. So visit univistafranchise.com to explore if this could be your next move. Seriously, univistafranchise.com. This could be the opportunity you've been waiting for. It connected you with a lot of celebrities that you started training at some point.
Definitely. And also too, it opened a lot of doors. When you're in that environment, you meet a lot of people, and it's a good starter conversation. Why are you here? And then, so yeah.
So you meet all these people and you start, training. I believe, there was somebody from Creed, the band that you were training?
I trained Scott Stapp, the former lead singer of Creed. Well, no, now they're back together now. I actually saw that they're making kind of a comeback, which is really cool to see because he's a great guy. So it was cool.
Now, what did you learn about the behind the scenes of very successful people like him? People touring, people trying to balance their lives also, because he's got a trainer because he's trying to take care of himself. What did you learn from him?
I think a lot of high-end clients, whether it be celebrities, businessmen, or athletes, is that there's a direct correlation between mind, body, and soul, and making sure that your body is in the best conditioned it can be, so that your mind is as sharp as it can be, and then your soul is at peace. So I really feel like that's what they're searching for, is to be at their optimal peak human being. And so then that allows them to perform at a high level. At the end of the day, when you're running around singing on stage, there's a lot, it's intense, and it's very taxing on the body. So the more you can train, the more you can be in the best shape of your life, then that singing on stage is easy. I think Usher is probably one of the greatest to ever do it.
Okay, but isn't that like a kind of like a high level desire? Like, 'cause I'm thinking about someone who's going to college now, or has 2 jobs, or getting started, or not very happy, and just the thought of taking care of your body seems to like be in second or third place compared to the priorities of pay my bills, or how do you find and how do you prioritize taking care of your body when there's so many other things that maybe are not in place?
I mean, I would frame it differently. We only get one body, right? And if you're not taking care of that one body, then you're not going to operate efficiently to be able to put the work in that you need to do to pay the bills. So like worrying about your bills before you worry about yourself is definitely, you're putting the priorities in the wrong order. At the end of the day, you want to be able to structure your life where you're optimizing your performance daily. Whether it's, I mean, you could be anything, whether you're a student, a nurse, a doctor, what have you, is that if you're not in shape, if you feel like, groggy, if you're tired all the time, then that's a direct correlation of the fact that you're not taking care of yourself. So exercise, nutrition, hydration, these are all things that are going to help you perform better, which ultimately will make you, make more money. So
is there something to say to the person that's going through a difficult time that maybe prioritizing your body and your health, even if it's super difficult, can help you get out of a dark moment?
I without a shadow of a doubt think that one of the things that we don't lean into when it comes to depression or feeling stuck is exercise. And I'll start with what I tell everybody is walking in water. Like, are you walking and are you staying hydrated? Are you drinking water on a consistent basis every single day? And it's amazing to me that people won't even commit to walking 20 minutes a day. And at the end of the day, if you think about us, that we live in Miami, right? I mean, it's such a beautiful city. Like, get out and walk. It's not hard. And that's the first thing I tell people, and it can literally change your life.
What I see that happens to most of us is that since we don't see the immediate result, or we think that we're not going to see the immediate result, I've learned the hard way that if I'm going through a rough day, if I throw in a workout in there, even if it's just 20 minutes on the bike or whatever it is that I can do, it really changes my mindset. But yes. I guess people don't associate becoming active for 20 or for 30 minutes to having a better day.
I agree with that. And also too, just because I am who I am and I look the way I do doesn't mean that it's still not hard. And I'll give you an example. So sometimes I double down on like my journey. So right now I'm going hardcore carnivore and no alcohol for the next 40 days. I'm on like day 9 or 10. When you start that, you actually feel worse. Like anytime you change your routine and you go like super, super committed, whether it's working out more or taking away sugar or alcohol or something like that, for the first 2 weeks, there's an adjustment period where your body's like, what the heck is going on? So you feel worse. Your stomach hurts. You actually feel tired. You're not sleeping as good. But that's why you can't rely on how you feel. Like, you always have to do things of where you want to be, not how you feel. If you operate in your feelings and your emotions, then of course you're going to quit, because we don't feel good all the time. But if you can operate with a sense of where you want to be and always remember that that's why you're doing it. So whatever your goal is, ultimately you have to commit to what you said you were going to do when you said you were going to do it, regardless of how you feel.
I guess it's a mental exercise, right? Because
100%.
In my opinion, in my experience, the harder things are going, the more excuses I find not to commit to something, because I'll be like, oh, today is not a good day, or maybe I'm just going through a lot of stress right now to be able to start something like 40 days being a carnivore, how do you flip that when our minds can be so quick at building up excuses?
For me, I call it positive self-talk. And it sounds silly, but if you're not having conversations with yourself on a constant basis, I mean, I'm like wondering, like when people say they don't do that, I'm wondering what's going on up there, because we're always talking to ourselves. But what are we saying? So that's the thing. Like, what conversation are you having with yourself? Are you talking negative yourself? Or are you talking positive yourself? So when you have these thoughts that enter your mind, I'm so tired, I feel like crap, I don't want to do it today, it's raining, like whatever, then you have to flip it and you have to start saying, I can do this. I want to do this. I get to do this. That's we always pick phrases for like my company, and one of them was, I get to do this, because it's framing things like, you don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to go to work. You get to go to work. You get to do, this is a gift. Life is a gift. So it's really just how you're framing the conversations you have in your head.
So if I'm catching this correctly, if I decided that I want to try the carnivore for 40 days and no alcohol like you're doing now, and
that's not for everybody, by the way.
Right, no, I understand. But let's say, that's my choice. Yes. I looked it up. My ChatGPT MD decided to say it was a good idea, whatever it is. So what you're saying is that if I find myself at 10 o'clock at night, I already have my steak or my chicken or whatever that is, and somewhere at home there's chips or there's something like that. So what is it that I'm supposed to tell myself to improve the chances of not giving into something that is not part of the plan?
You have to remember the why. Mm-hmm. You have to remember why you're doing it. You're obviously doing it for a reason. So you have to remember the why. And listen, I have a 5-year-old and a 15-month-old. So there's cookies and donuts and all kinds of stuff around the house. And then also I'll say, listen, sometimes talking to yourself doesn't work. So, it doesn't. Yeah. Let's be honest. Like sometimes that voice in your head is going, eat it, eat it, eat it. It's way louder than the voice saying no. So distraction. I often say that if you can't be disciplined, then be distracted. And what I mean by that is like, go for a walk, take a hot bath, drink like a lot of water with magnesium, like shift, do something different than what that bad thing is.
Shift the attention. Find something that will divert your attention, whatever that is.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Now let's go back to your story, because you come to Miami, you do some, film work, you keep training people, and then, there's a big difference between being a personal trainer and owning 6 gyms.
Yes.
So 8 gyms.
Sorry, I had to.
ChatGPT has to update itself.
Yeah, I know, right? We got to tell it. It's all good.
So the question is, when you're going from, how do you, in your mentality, how do you go from being a personal trainer into an entrepreneur? Because I'm sure the challenges are way different now.
Way different. And also it's a learning process. Like I remember when I would work out, I would like get pissed off. Like, you know what I mean? Like I would be like it was a fight. And I was like, I was going to win, and I was so aggressive, and like, I would literally be mad because I wanted to like dominate. And that was my mentality. Well, if you're a gym owner and you're acting like that in the gym, people are going to be like, what's wrong with this guy?
Right.
So early on, I would be getting my workout in, and I realized I was like rubbing people the wrong way because I was just locked into my workout and being like really intense. But at the end of the day, you're the host. And so, you know what I mean? Like you can't be like that. So there was definitely a fast adjustment of you're the face, you're the voice, you're the energy. When people walk in, they're going to be a reflection of you. And so if you're not immediately setting the tone, setting the attention, being intentional with how you greet people, what music you're listening to, the tone of your voice, everything. Like everything you got to understand it's not about you anymore. It's not about you. If you're sick, if you're tired, it's not about you. If someone walks in those doors, immediately you better turn it on and show them that you're so excited that they are spending their money with you. And that's really ultimately what you have to teach yourself.
But there's more, like beyond that. I'm just thinking that you were a trainer and you could look at your schedule, you could do a little marketing, people would refer you to others.
Right.
And you go to sleep and you're like, okay, what's my schedule look like tomorrow? But now you go to bed and you're like, okay, I have 8 gyms. How many employees?
I mean, with the water company and the gyms, like 80 something. Yeah.
80 something employees. am I going to make payroll at the beginning? Am I going to be able to hire the VP of this or the director of that? I mean, the receptionist is not happy with the job. I mean, there's a workload and a level of responsibility that changes. And I'm just thinking that a lot of people have that entrepreneurial vein, so to speak, but they don't take action because they're afraid of the commitment and the responsibility. What allowed you to feel comfortable with that level of responsibility?
I mean, for me, I've always felt like a leader. Like, I mean, as young as third grade, I've always had that feeling when I walk into a room that, and it probably sounds arrogant, but when I walk in a room, all eyes are on me. Like, and it's not because I feel like I look better than anybody else. It's just because when I walk in a room, like I said before, I walk in with intention. Like, I like to meet everybody in the room, pay attention to what's happening in the room. Like, I'm just very intentional person. And so I want it. Like, I want the pressure. I want the weight on my shoulders. I want it. Like, I've never wanted to be mediocre. There's nothing about me that screams like I'm okay with being average. Like, so for me, leadership or, being at the top or however you want to say it, being in charge or whatever is something that I desired. Like, I wanted it. And I still want it. Like, I still want the pressure.
You still want the pressure.
Yeah.
A lot of people have this like romanticized version of entrepreneurship. A lot of people that haven't experimented and they're like, oh my God, I love, the fanciness of it. And I love what I see on Instagram. It's like the Instagram version of entrepreneurship, which is very different. You've been at it a lot longer than me. But I'm just thinking that the going from the romantic version of entrepreneurship to the reality of it must be super hard. I mean, for me, it's been super hard. I'm only a few months into being a full-time entrepreneur.
It's very hard. And again, it goes back to, this is really the only thing that you need to hear. Just never quit. Just never stop. Just do not stop. No matter the obstacle, no matter the setback, no matter if this place doesn't exist and you got to go find another studio, like whatever it is, you just don't stop. And I think that's really what happens to most people is in the difficult times, they choose to quit and stop instead of just pushing through, like we said it earlier, don't panic, pivot. Like, there is always a solution, always there, I don't like it when people complain and all they talk about is the problems. I like people around me that are solution oriented. Don't come to me with the problem. Come to me with the solution. And that's how I've always been, is that, we made it through COVID because of that mentality. When you're doing construction, you have to have that mentality. I mean, if you don't have that mentality when you're doing construction, you might as well quit, because construction is brutal. It's brutal. You mentioned earlier the receptionist that doesn't want to come to work or what have you. Like, you're in the people business, so you're constantly having to figure out people's love languages and figure out what motivates them, what inspires them, what gets them to also push through. Because ultimately, if you don't want to quit and you're not going to quit, well, you also got to get your team to understand that they can't quit either. And it's sad because some people do quit, and you pour into them, lay out the red carpet, show them the way, tell them the books to read, and love on them, and then they still quit. So there's no perfect science to this, but I would say the effort involved is an everyday thing. I mean, I am on the phone from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m., in some form or fashion, whether it's texting or phone calls or FaceTiming or Zooms or Google Meet or, all that, the Teams, the one we all hate, the one that always never works. And it's what it is. It's over communication. It's constant communication on what problems do we have to solve today. And it's every day. Every day there's something that happens where you got to solve a problem.
Interesting, because I have gotten kind of like that same statement from everybody that has sat right here with me, which is, no matter what, just don't quit, don't stop. And I get even a little emotional about it because I'm one of those. Like my entrepreneurial journey after being an employee for such a long time is only getting started, but I've always been the one that doesn't quit.
Well, then you're going to do just fine.
And that's what has just taken me to different stages, different projects, different things, because I don't give up. I can be relentless.
Yeah.
I can.
That's it. Relentless, obsessed. Like, you have to have that. And not everybody has it. And that's why not everybody's an entrepreneur. And that's why everyone's not the boss. You know, you have to have your soldiers. You have to have your worker bees. You have to have people that just want to work. You know, they don't want to do everything that we're trying to accomplish, which is okay, because we couldn't do what we want to do if everybody wanted to be us, you know? And that's another thing too that you have to understand is that early on in my journey, I was trying to find me. I was like, I need another me, you know? And then you get frustrated with that because you're never going to find you, ever. It doesn't matter how awesome they are, because the truth is, if you found you, they'd be doing what you're doing somewhere else. So
it's a good point.
You know
And
what I mean?
you've said before in other interviews that what you look for now is people that are different than you.
Yes.
And
I love
what's
that
the
too.
point? What's the purpose?
I think it's much like my wife. So my wife is like the complete opposite of me, like complete opposite. But she compliments me. So I learn from her, and hopefully she's learning from me. And it's like the calm to my storm. It's like I see how she responds and acts towards certain things that happen, and then I'm like, man, I wouldn't have acted like that, but that, you know what I mean? But then you learn from it, and then maybe you can apply it. And the same thing in business. Like, you know, I have people on my team that are just even kill. Like, there's no up and no high, no low. Because I'm high, low. I'm a little bit all over the place. You know, I definitely, you know, wear my emotions on my sleeves. But there's some of them that just, like, I'll be furious with something they did, and they'll just, you know, be just, and I'm like, what's going on? But you learn from that, and you're like, okay, like, I kind of like that. And then I think also they get a little bit from me as well. So it's all give and take. It's all learning from each other. That's the amazing thing about growing as a company and a business, is that you get to meet so many awesome people that come in that are hopefully smarter than you. And then that way you have people smarter than you accelerating your vision. I mean, I think that's the genius of men like Steve Jobs and Warren Buffett and all these guys, is they more than likely they hired people way smarter than them to carry the vision, to carry that torch, and then just go light, you know, new markets, new beginnings. So yeah.
So let's talk
Nice.
canned water.
Crispy.
Hey, real talk. Did you know most people listening right now haven't tapped that subscribe button? This is your chance to join the crew and never miss a story that could change your life. Hit follow, because that tiny action helps us go bigger, pull more amazing guests, and bring you a podcast that's teaching us all how to navigate life's biggest challenges and accomplish our dreams. So please join us and subscribe.
It had to be the purest, best functional water on the planet. Like, I insisted on it. So it took us 1.5 to 2 years to develop this water. It was very intentional what went into the can. And then another thing too is that the can itself. So our cans are BPA free. So a lot of cans, and you see it on TikTok and Instagram, of people like melting the cans and seeing a plastic liner inside of them. So our cans do not have that. So we're a BPA free can.
Okay, but hold on, because I want to understand. So BPA free, which tells me that BPA is in other brands, right?
Yes.
And it tells me that it's not good for you. So
Right.
if I know nothing, like I know nothing about BPA,
Yeah. It's like a plastic
why
liner.
is it out there? And you know, why is it important to look for
you
water that
can't-
doesn't have it?
Yeah, you obviously can't just put water in straight aluminum, because then it would leak and it wouldn't stay in there. So you have to have something. It's
I
kinda
didn't
like-
know that.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
kind of
so
like
you can't put it into straight aluminum.
yeah, and also too,
drains.
and even like you've seen like boxed water.
Okay.
You know, all of those have plastic liners. All of them.
Okay.
Because you can't think about it. You can't put water in a box.
Okay,
You
yeah,
know what I
makes
mean? 'Cause
sense.
it would
Yeah,
leak
so
out.
there's something there
Yeah.
covering it.
Now, every can and box has it's kind of like a glue. So maybe not a plastic liner, which is bad. They have this, and that's what ours has. It's a special kind of glue that's inside the can that protects the water.
So, and what does BPA do to you if you choose
It's plastic,
wrong?
basically.
Okay, you're
Yeah.
just throw. So you're
Again, like, there's been so many studies lately that if you and I went and got our blood tested, we would have minimum a cube of plastic in our blood, and sometimes as much as a credit card of plastic in our blood. Like there's so much plastic in our world today that it's just, I mean, it's in our clothes, it's in everything. So
should I be looking for stuff that I buy, especially like anything that's canned, like beer or whatever, research and try to see and look for items that don't have EPA?
I mean, I would. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, listen, I'll also say that you can't run from everything, you know? So it's really up to you. It's your
so
decision.
your replacement for this is some other product that is not plastic.
Yes, correct.
That covers.
Yeah, and forgive me,
can.
it's too long of a word and too scientific to tell you all the details. But
It's basically something that replaces
I'll
the
text it to
BPA.
you so
Okay,
you can
please
know.
do.
Yeah.
Something that replaces the BPA and just makes it better for
And
you.
seals
Seals
it.
it so this is not dripping, because I never thought that pure aluminum would just
Because it
drip.
would erode if not.
Now, what's in this? Why is this special water?
Yes. So what's in this can is a 7-step. So let me backtrack a little bit. So when we're doing this, we also had to team up with a proper co-packer. So when you think about water and you think about where it's made, most co-packers are sharing their facilities with energy drinks, fruit juices, alcohol. And so your gaskets and your lines are, even if you did like a crazy cleaning process, there's probably something in those lines from the energy drinks, fruit juices, and alcohol that will get into your water. And that's what gives you the hydration, the function, but most importantly, the taste. I mean, our water, hands down, is one of the best tasting waters, if not the best tasting water. It's a very soft mouthfeel. For the sparkling, it's a very gentle carbonation with a very crisp taste to it. And the still water is very soft on the mouth. I sound like such a water nerd right now. But, I always laugh at myself when I talk about this. But when you start to drink good water, you definitely become a water nerd, and you start to notice the difference. And the only way to really notice the difference is to commit to drinking our water for at least like 2 weeks, and then go back to trying to drink something out of a plastic bottle or tap, and you'll be like, oh, you know. So
okay, so you go through a bunch of different processes, the osmosis and everything else that just makes it cleaner,
correct,
healthier,
Yes,
pure, just good for you, the water we're supposed to be drinking.
right.
And then you also factor in taste.
Yes.
Which anybody would say, I mean, I'm definitely not a water nerd like you are. I would say, water doesn't taste like anything. But then I can also start thinking about certain water brands that I don't like how they taste.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting because the first thing that everyone said is water is water. We hear that all the time. Water is water.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when we're trying to sell this. That's one of the first things people say. Mm-hmm. Oh, water is water. We just use tap water, whatever. And it's just not a true statement. Water is not water. Like, there's so many different waters out there, so many different taste profiles, so many different essential mineral profiles when it comes to the calcium, magnesium, potassium that you put into the water. We have like 60 times more minerals in our water than regular water. Like, it's so many different things that highlight our water.
So I was listening to an interview with Mr. Beast.
Oh, yeah.
And when he started...
Wait, you did an interview with Mr.
No,
Beast?
I wish. He's more than welcome to join us.
I was about to say, we'll put that on the bucket list.
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely. But I was listening to an interview.
Yeah, okay.
And he's talking about Feastable, which is his chocolate brand.
Yes.
And the guy has become the biggest chocolate nerd in the world.
I bet.
To understand. Not only that, but he's gone to the sourcing. He's found that there's child labor involved when you're harvesting, and he is going straight to the source in Africa where he's fixing all these towns. Like, what I'm noticing is
he gets his chocolate from Africa.
Well, is it Africa? I don't know. I mean, whatever his sourcing is, he's going to countries that are, that some of them have issues with child labor, and he's fixing that.
Oh, wow.
So what I'm saying is that he went really deep into understanding the product. And it sounds like for anybody who's in their 20s now, and maybe they have this dream of becoming someone, whether it's in the AI field or whether it's consumer goods, like you've gotten yourself into, it sounds like really going deep into your product is a competitive advantage.
Well, if you want longevity, if you're in it to win it for the long term, I mean, you have to. You can't, a brand will only take you so far if the product is shit. Like, you have to have a good product. And I think that's the kind of the trifecta of us, is that we have the brand, the message, and more importantly, we have the product. So when you combine those three things, then it's unlimited, potential of where you can go. But you have to, I've shout out to my team, because you have to have people that are so obsessed with the process, so obsessed with your logistics, so obsessed with everything. Like our Isaac, our COO, if something even remotely is even possibly going wrong, he's on a flight straight to North Carolina, like instantly, like no hesitation, like without even telling us. Like we're like, where are you? And he's like, I'm in the plant, and it's just a true story. And you have to be that obsessed with it. If anything happens, I had somebody call me and they were like, one of the cans smells weird, and then you have to investigate it. It turned out to be nothing, but you have to take pride in things, especially when it comes to CPG. These are consumer packaged goods. This is something that people are consuming. So you got to take responsibility on what you're giving them, that they're putting in their body. And I think we definitely, the USA, I mean, we're seeing it now with like RFK and everything he's doing. Like it's sad what is in our food, compared to the European countries. Have you ever seen like where you see the ingredient list in Europe and you see it in the US? It's absurd, the difference. So yeah. I really think that
even US companies that know the regulations and they have to comply with the regulations in Europe, they don't care about any of that because they're not enforced here. So they're like, oh, I have a better product, the same brand, everything. I know I can make it healthier, but I just don't have to.
Exactly. And that needs to change, And so as someone that just cares about people in general, if you care, then you have to go, we pay more for our cans. Everything we're doing is not just about profit. It's about perfection, really. You know what I mean? Like the pursuit of trying to do something that other people aren't doing.
Now, is this a business in which you had to find, I'm just thinking about capital, like somebody trying to start a business. As I always say, they like mugs and they want to, or tables or whatever it is that they want to sell. Is this a business that has required like large investments, big investors, people putting in money into the company? Or is this a business that somebody at home could possibly start exploring at a very low, small scale? And then
unless they don't care about growing it. Like this is a constant raising money game.
Okay.
The beverage industry and the CPG industry in general is a cutthroat, brutal, competitive landscape. I've raised almost 10 million to date. So we've been at this for 3 years. Have over 75 unique strategic investors, including friends and family and New York finance guys and athletes and celebrities and musicians. So, a very diverse group of people that have believed in the brand and the product.
Are there some well-known names that are public about having invested in the company?
Yeah. So Danger, Nathaniel Hills, he's one of the greatest producers of our generation. I mean, he did all of Britney Spears, Nelly Furtado, Timberland, like Justin Timberlake. He was Timberland's kind of protege. And he's a great friend, awesome guy. Just you should have him on. He is just so enlightened, and his mind works like he's a fascinating man, and he's so gifted, unbelievable. When you think about people that do what he does, starting with nothing and then all of a sudden a song, it's amazing. Another songwriter, Rico Love, is an investor. Marcella, who is the most known female engineer in the hip hop and urban, and she works with Danger, so they all invested. Shaggy is an investor. Cool. DJ Crespo is an investor, and he's amazing. DJ Crespo was awesome because he started as our ambassador. So he was a brand ambassador, and he loved the product so much that he turned around and invested in it. He'd be another good guy on your podcast.
Absolutely, but then if I'm trying to build anything, and I realize, hey, I don't have the money, I'm going to need some investors. What would you say is the key when it comes to earning the trust of an investor and approaching someone with an idea that is very valuable in your head, but maybe is very little right now, or almost non-existent, or maybe it's just an idea? What could you tell someone that's about to start that process of finding an investor for the first time?
Well, first it is about you, right? Initially, when you're in that friends and family round, they're really investing in you. They're not investing in a product, because especially an idea and a concept that's really doesn't have any legs yet, hasn't even walked, it's barely crawling. So they're really investing in you. So what have you done in your life up to that point for them to believe in you that you can take this, all the way and do the things that you say you're going to do? And then that would be the second thing, is that anything that you put in your deck or you say in your meetings that you are going to do, you better do it. And then you really better do more than you say you're going to do. So that's something too that I believe has gotten us to where we are today, is every single thing we sought out to do, we've done, and then some. So I think that's where you gain the trust and you gain the momentum to get even more investors and referrals and fans.
With such a big platform now, I mean, you have, all these gyms, you have the water, you have your podcast, you have so much going on, and I'm sure there's been mistakes,
Yes.
And the bigger it gets, the more mistakes are made. Is there any?
Well, actually, I would say the bigger it gets, you better hope the less mistakes.
The less mistakes, right?
Because the bigger it gets, the reason why it's getting bigger is because all the mistakes you made, but you didn't make them twice. And so the only way to get big is to make mistakes. And I think that's where a lot of people don't realize, is that yes, it's a constant falling down, getting up, falling down, getting up, making a mistake, learning from it, don't do it again. And it's really, as long as you don't repeat your mistakes and you really learn from them, then you will get big. But, and then when you get big, you better hope the mistakes are very minimal, because there's a lot more on the line.
Now, was there ever a mistake that kept you up at night for a long time, that maybe made you feel bad about the impact it had on somebody else in your business journey in general?
That's a great question, but I don't know if there's been any kind of mistake where I felt bad, because most of the mistakes have been innocent, like mistakes, just mistakes, not like anything intentional mistake. I feel like if I did something that was intentional and I got caught or something like that, then that would be something you would feel bad about or whatever. But all the mistakes have been just mistakes that happen in business, and you learn from it and you move on. So I don't think anything's really, now from a financial standpoint, I think you stay up, how are you going to pay the bills? How are you going to do that? I think that keeps you up for sure. But not anything like I feel bad for someone else because of something. Like I don't think I've done anything in that situation.
Now, what have you had to give up to have the life that you have today?
Sleep. Luckily I have a hard time relaxing. My wife will tell you. I've never really been someone that could sleep a lot. Like when I take a nap, it's like max like 20 minutes, and then I pop up like, like, oh my God, what did I miss? So, but it's definitely, I am a 5-6 hour guy a night, sleeper. I don't sleep much. I have a hard time sleeping. I have a hard time relaxing. It's, you give up peace in here, because you're constantly, you can't shut it off. Once you get to this point, you can't shut it off. And you shouldn't, because now you've taken in money from other people that are relying on you. Now you have 80 something employees that are relying on you. Like, you can't let up, now's the time to double down and to really commit to whatever it is you are committed to.
What's the vision? Like the 5-year, the 10-year vision?
For me, I've always said I'm building $1 billion brand. I think ultimately you can't, if you say it and don't believe it, then what are you doing? And I truly, truly do believe that. I believe, I've said it earlier on, I want the Pitbull and No Days Off to be just as popular as the Nike swoosh and Just Do It. Like, that's how I've always seen my brand, is that because I love Nike and everything they've built. And I just think it's such the pillar of businesses, the Apples, the Nikes of the world. And why not? Why not us? I always say that. Why not us? Why not? Like, if you really truly commit to something, then see it through. See it through. That's the biggest thing. It's like we talked about earlier. It's like, don't quit because you haven't arrived. And I think all the congratulations on the way it's nice, and I think you should celebrate a little bit. But for me, I think one of the frustrating things for me is that when you have a vision that you've seen it, you've seen the mountaintop in your mind, you've seen the filled stadiums, the whatever it is, you've seen it. So when you only are climbing the mountain and only checking boxes of these certain steps to get to the end result, then you're not really satisfied, and like my brother always says, when are you ever going to be satisfied? And I'm like, well, until the vision is complete. And it's hard, and it's not easy, and you seem like a lunatic and crazy, and people are like, why can't you just be satisfied? You have 8 gyms, what's wrong with you? But I just feel like that's not the vision. You have to wrap your head around. Phil Knight wrote a book called Shoe Dog. His entire story is in there. And I love it because the chapters are years, and it took a long time to build Nike, a long time. And that's where I feel like, I'm 17 years in building this brand, 17 years with the gyms, 3 years with the beverages, but 17 years of pushing no days off and this whole message. And I feel like I just started. Like, I literally feel like I just started.
That's very cool. And it's funny because one of the things that we have in common is that we both have wives that are very different, that sort of like level us and balance us in a good way. And one of the things that sometimes my wife, as much as she admires and respects what I do, she makes fun of my self-imposed deadlines, right? And I don't know if it happens to you, but if I have something that I want to build, and if I want to come out with this podcast, I know that it has to be out by a certain date. She's like, well, why are you pressuring yourself? I'm like, because I want it out by that day.
But that sense of urgency is why you are you.
Exactly.
And there's so many entrepreneurs that don't have a sense of urgency, and that's why they stay like this. You have to have a sense of urgency to get things done every single day. And I'm sure you do this too. It's like, you work, and then at the end of the day, you're like, man, I haven't done anything.
Happens to me every day.
You're like, every day, you're like, man. I mean, yesterday was such a long day. I mean, a lot of stuff happening. And at the end, I just felt empty. I felt like I didn't do anything, even though I know I did. And so I think that's something that we'll never lose. We'll never lose that spirit. Like, people ask me all the time, when are you going to retire or something? Like, no, that's not going to happen.
Not happening.
Like, no.
So what are the younger generations getting wrong right now, in your opinion? And what could be a small pivot that younger people in their 20s maybe can do to start seeing the level of success or entrepreneurship that you're seeing and the vision that you have? What do you think people could be doing better?
I think, and it's just my opinion, is that they're very distracted in the wrong ways. And they think that they can do everything, and they're trying to do, they're a trainer, a podcaster, a model, a this, a that, and another. They've got so much stuff going on because they're watching the highlight reels of people's lives every day. People traveling and doing their own podcasts and showing off their rented Lamborghini and all, all this stuff. And this, like you said earlier, this instant gratification society that everything's quick. The OnlyFans, this stuff that I can just make money by being naked. Like it's wild to me that people have forgotten that it's the commitment to hard work that will never go away. If you want to be successful, and that really, even to the OnlyFans people, like the people that are successful on OnlyFans are actually working hard and committed to it. They're not just doing it every now and then. So
there's got to be a few members of your gyms that do OnlyFans.
Oh, there's a lot. Yes, it's scary actually, but
the percentage is probably scary, right?
It's wild. But I would say, I ask people all the time, when's the last time you picked one thing and got good at that one thing? Because to develop mastery, they say it takes 10,000 hours to develop a skill. And you got people that can't even commit to 90 days of something. So I always start with that, is just commit to something. Say you're going to do it and then commit to it. Instead of saying, I want to be a personal trainer, but I also want to be a nurse, and I also want to be a singer, and I also want to be an artist. And no one's saying that you can't. And that's another thing too. I'm not trying to shut down people's dreams, because I know a lot of people that do a lot of things well. But are you doing a lot of things well and not doing anything great? Because ultimately you should be trying to do something extraordinary. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish, is something extraordinary. And I think that's within everyone. I think everyone has a talent that they've been given that they can show the world and express. And it doesn't have to be singing, dancing, or playing an instrument. It could be literally service. It could be cooking. It could be a trainer, whatever. Find your purpose, not your passion. That's another thing too. Everybody talks about passion. Well, to me, passion's tied to emotion, and that's gonna come and go. Purpose. What is your purpose? Like, why are you on this earth? Some people say like the two greatest times in your life is the day you're born and the day you figure out why. And that's true. It's like, do you know what you want to do? And here's another thing too. If you're young and you don't know what you want to do, that's fine. But still pick something to commit to. Even if you don't think that's what you want to do, just commit to it. Because in that process of commitment, you are going to learn something about yourself. And even if let's just throw out, you want to be a cook and you commit to that for a year. Okay. And then at the end, you decide you don't want to do it. Well, then you're a hell of a cook though, right? You know what I mean? So then that's
always
a skill,
something that comes out of that.
That's a skill that will be with you for forever. So it's like, it's not a waste of time. That's another thing too. I feel like a lot of kids or young adults, they think it's a waste of time to commit to something that they're not sure about. Well, at that age, you're not supposed to be sure about it.
Right.
So just do it. Literally just do it. Yeah.
There's probably somebody watching or listening who's going through a situation similar at whatever age that what you went through when you were in that hospital bed and you were told that you couldn't play anymore. And maybe somebody going through a really dark time. They could have lost a job, lost a loved one, going through divorce, not being able to pay their bills. And that person doesn't seem to be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. What could you tell this person based on your experience that could help that person have a little bit of hope and maybe take a first step towards getting out of that?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is Jesus. Literally, like that's as you were like talking, I mean, it's just Jesus. Like you got to get outside of you. I really truly believe we're more spirit than we are flesh. And if you can't have a commitment to a higher being, for me, it's Jesus and God. And so that's the first thing, is understand that I can't do any of this on my own. None of it. So know that there's something that can guide you, that can get you out of it. That is the light, that is the light in the darkness. And I say, if you don't understand that, then start small, whether it's reading scripture or doing devotion or going to church or listening to worship music, whatever it is. I think that helps. And then also too, so I call it faith combined with the favor that comes from faith, and having that self-belief that you can do anything you put your mind to, no matter what situation, no matter where you are, no matter where you have to start. And then also start with what you have. Start where you are with what you have. I think oftentimes people want to start where someone else is. We're again, it goes back to this world we live in, this instant gratification, this highlight reel of people's lives. People are constantly comparing. And then oftentimes people are like, well, I'm just not motivated. Find the motivation in the movement, if that makes sense. Because sitting on the couch, scrolling or looking at your phone, there's no motivation coming from that. But if you move towards something, and again, it's simple stuff. Go to the gym, go for a walk, go get your hair done. Like, just get out and go. Here's another thing too. Strike up a conversation. Yeah. Like, we live in this world that everyone's head is down. And there was this really cool, what do you call those animations the other day that I saw, and it had a bunch of people walking, like on the street, right? And everyone's heads down. We're looking at their phones. So they're walking like this, and it's just constant. No one's looking up, no one's looking anybody in the eye. And then they did the other animation where no one had phones, and you saw people stop and interact. and then and this is a long story, but in the end, someone actually found their partner who they ended up spending the rest of their life with.
Just a little moment that changes.
Look up, people.
Lifetime, yeah.
Look up. Look up. Look up. Look in people's eyes. You know, when I see you and you smile and you got a good look about, like, I want to strike up a conversation.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do, man? You know, but we don't do that anymore. You know, we don't do it in the gyms. We don't do it at restaurants. We are literally, everyone's glued to their damn phone, and we're missing out on, you could be missing out on your life partner. You could be missing out on a job opportunity. You could be missing out on just a great conversation that could pull you out of the darkness, that could show you the light. So, you know, but you got to try. You have to take action.
You know, Manning, we like to wrap it up every time on this podcast, imagining that we are at 100 years from today. We are under the assumption that Google survived. And let's imagine for a moment that somebody Google and, you know, they looked up Manning, Sumner. What would you like those top 5 or 10 results to say about you?
The very first one, here lies, or Google, the very first Google search that comes up is that he changed the world. Like, no days off is never taking a day off on you. It's a commitment to becoming your best self, has become synonymous, or whatever the right word is, to the world. Like, you know, like, people bought into this thing of living every single day with intention. This idea that we can become better no matter how old we are, no matter our past, no matter our circumstances, no matter what happened to us, what our commitment can get us through it. And so that would be the first thing. Second thing, billionaire.
Of course.
Yes. You know, third thing, since it's 100 years, and actually before billionaire, it would be like, you know, something amazing about my wife, that, you know, maybe she comes out with her clothing line, and then obviously my kids would have their legacy, and, you know, so yeah, I mean, it a lot, family, message, I think, would be the thing that I'd want the most, is that I truly believe that my purpose is to take this message of no days off and spread it throughout the world.
Manning, thank you for bringing and sharing your energy with us. I feel that not only as you have that energy that brings the attention to you, but there's a purpose in that energy, and I feel that it goes beyond the conversation, and it shows that there's a bigger purpose in what you do every day. It you know, thanks for sharing the fact that this is just not only a can of water, that there's something beyond that, that there's care, that there's caring about people, that there's health involved, and thank you for reminding me not to give up. It just makes me realize that even through a difficult time, through a time of starting something, through a time where things seem to be difficult, there's hope in action.
Yes.
And I really feel that what I'm taking away from this conversation is that there's definitely hope to be found in a little bit of action and a little bit of faith.
Amen.
So thank you so much.
No, thank you for
joining us
having me.
today.
Yes.
This was great.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Appreciate you, bro.